I think it just makes sense to start the day off right with a good breakfast. Like lasagna. Bon appetit. I just thought I'd give you a peek at how far along I've got on this cravat couteau. It's, I like it. I like it. I put these little jimping, because it's so small, having a little extra gripping area up here would help. I did go ahead and polish it, but I'm not going to leave it polished. And the reason is, when you slide this in and out of Kydex, it'll just scratch it completely up. So I'm going to put a satin finish on this. I'm going to heat treat this and then bring this down to a satin finish. And that way, whenever it gets scratched, you can just hit it with some sandpaper, some 400, some 320, and rub the scratches back out of it. Make it new. Beautiful day in the shop. Oh. Sorry about that. I think I'm going to show you what I do to rough this in, for lack of a better term. This is the next morning, and it's been pinned and epoxied. And now I'm going to clean up the edges on my big belt grinder. I'm going to rub this flat where the pins are all even. And then I'm going to come to the little belt grinder and do a little more shaping on the machine. And then I put it in my vise and do the rest by hand. But I don't know if I showed you this. I'm making progress on this. I haven't heat treated it yet. I'm going to do that today. Heat treat it, temper it, clean it back up. And I'll have these epoxied on by the end of the day. That's going to be fun. I still got to do some Kydex sheath, and it's probably going to take me 2 or 3 tries because I'm not good at Kydex. Not yet. I'll get better. All right, let me get you set up on the tripod and bring a light in there because it's a little darker in there than it is here. And I'll show you what I do. This is going to be probably a little bit loud, not too bad. But first I gotta take this table off, which that's going to be another video soon. This table, my jig hangs up on it, my grinding jig. I don't know if you can see the mark here, but it's really hard to make a nice smooth pass. So I'm looking into getting some Delrin, and I'm going to make a Delrin tabletop here. And then I'm going to put some Delrin on the bottom of my jig. Here we go. And so it'll slide a little easier. Here we go. Let me look at the screen, make sure I'm got you in the picture. it's a little thick, I'm going to grind it down this way. That's as much as I dare sand on this grinder because it takes so much off at one time. Now I'm going to go to my little bench grinder and do a little more fine tuning, and then the rest is by hand. So let me shut you off and we'll go into the other grinder. that is as far as I dare go on this one. Now it's starting to look like a handle. Now the rest of the work is all hand sanding. And that's 3 or 4 hours of that. And I always test fit it in my own hand. I got big hands and I like a big grip. And you know, if you get this and it's too big for your hands, well, send it back. I'll take a little off. All right, now I go to the vise. Follow me. I don't usually start with 220, but I got it here, and I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing, but this is roughly how I start. I always start on the bottom, and I make my contours coming this way. See, I got to go back and put this on the, when you sit down and you really get a good look at it in the light, I can see where I need to come in on this side a little bit more. So I'm going to go do that. Be right back. Give me 2 seconds. You don't mind waiting, do you? Did I move you? I think I just moved you. Yeah, I did. Make sure we're still on. Yeah, there we go. Hey, good boy, what you doing? What you doing, huh? Where's my Lucy Bell? Where's my Lucy Bell? There's that good girl. There you are. What a beautiful day, huh? Good day to sit in the sun. Okay, you get the idea. I'm gonna probably spend 2 or 3 hours doing this. But I think what I'm gonna do is heat treat cravat couteau and temper it. And the tempering is going to take a couple hours, so I can let that happen while I'm working on this. And when that comes out, I can clean it up, glue the handles on. Yeah, 2 or 3 hours of sanding. And to tell you the truth, I really like this part. For some reason, it just feels good to work. It's like sculpting, I guess, you know? Just feels good making your hands make something look like a handle. All right, we'll be back in a couple hours. Yeah, we're taking a break. I forgot a part. Before I do anything, I take my drum sander and I sand this away all the way around here. And what it does, this is 240 grit. What it does is take out all the belt grinding marks on the metal. You can't get them out with regular sandpaper, So you got to rub them out with a drum sander, and then when you go back with a regular hand sanding, it all looks almost as smooth as the rest of the knife. Not quite. I haven't figured out a way to get this spine that's in the handle, the tang, as shiny as the rest of the blade, but I'll come across a way to do that one day. All right, back to work, everybody. Not me, you. You're okay. You're okay. You're off the clock. All right, that pretty thing, that's what it looks like after being heat treated. Now, come on, fat fingers, pick it up. Good God. Now, I'm going to heat treat this at 450 degrees for 2 hours. See you in a couple hours. In the meantime, I'll be sanding on the handle. You want to hear a story? The camera is probably going to jump around because I'm going to be sanding and my floor is up on piers. Let me show you that. It's starting to look like a knife handle. Boom, chicka wow wow. All right, now I'm going to flip it over. And what I do is I look down this way to make sure my curves are the same. I look down this way to make sure everything's symmetrical. Yeah, I used a big word. And now I'm going to do the top. And now I'm going to tell you a story while I'm doing it. I hate cold. Have I ever mentioned that? I hate cold so much. I left home when I was 16. Why? Because I lived in Connecticut. I ran away. I use that word, but you can hardly run away when you're 16 years old. I hitchhiked all over the place, and I ended up in Florida. Florida, because you could live on the beach, and it was always warm. Not always, but mostly warm. And, you know, I was hungry, and sometimes I was cold. But I was not living in Connecticut, and that was all that mattered. Eventually, I hooked up with this commune. Yeah, a hippie commune. Well, that's a loose term. They were living in this really big camper behind a gas station, and they shared everything and fed each other, and if one person had food, they shared it with everybody. And at first, it was kind of nice. I really liked it. But then I began to realize that the drugs, they were not into, you know, the common pot and acid that everybody was into. They were into hard stuff, the heroin and prescription drugs. And that concerned me a little bit. And I'd been there about a week, and they started talking about breaking into this pharmacy. They wanted me to be a part of it. I said, no, no, no. I don't want nothing to do with breaking into a pharmacy. And they tried to make me feel guilty that I had lived in their home and ate their food, and I should be willing to break the law for them. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I stuck to my guns. Well, they did. They broke into a pharmacy. And they came back to this trailer with their drugs and all the stuff they had stolen. And I was scared. I was scared because I knew that the cops were going to be coming. I mean, I didn't know that for sure, but I assumed that a drugstore would certainly have security. And anyway, I tried to leave. I didn't want no part of that. And they wouldn't let me leave. They were afraid I was going to rat them out. And I said, look, I'm not going to rat you out. I just don't want to be a part of this, man. I mean, you know, I'm got my whole life ahead of me. I don't want to spend it in jail. So they wouldn't let me leave. So I waited till everybody went to sleep and partied themselves into unconsciousness. And I slid open a camper window, and I threw my backpack, which had all my worldly possessions, I don't think my family's ever heard this story. I threw all my worldly possessions out the window, crawled out the window, and I never looked back. And that was the beginning for me of when I realized I wanted nothing to do with being on that side of the law, the wrong side. And then, when I turned 17, the day I turned 17, I was in the Army. So, you know, I hated the cold, right? I left home to get away from the cold. And where did the Army send me? Germany in the winter. Oh yeah, laugh it up. Yeah, it's really starting to take shape. I really love this part of shaping the handle. And I don't mind leaving extra that you have to take off by hand because it's way easier to sand up to a point than it is to go past it and it's too late. And what I'm doing now is all the sharp edges or little corners that I can feel, I'm sanding off. Now I've done this side, I'm doing this side. Now I'm going to start flipping it over from side to side. And this is 120 grit sandpaper. Man, this is some good stuff. What's it called? It's 3M Pro Grade. And it's supposed to last like 3 times longer, and it does. It lasts a long time. All right, let me start flipping this. Yep, that was a learning experience. I spent 3 years in Germany learning about life and growing up, and that was a good thing. In the Army, you know, you could get in trouble, but not the kind of trouble that would get you in prison. And I did get in a little trouble. But by the time I got out of the Army, I was ready to start my life and work and avoid trouble. And I like Florida. I like Florida, and I could live there, except there's so many people in Florida. It's wall-to-wall people. You can't go anywhere where there isn't people. My wife would love to live in Florida. She loves it because you can grow stuff year-round, and the temperature's perfect year-round. And I like Florida for the same reason. You can wear shorts and flip-flops all year round. But like I said, I just couldn't stand that many people all around me. Everywhere you go, there's people. Yeah, this is 120, and then I'll go from here to 220. I'll sand out the 120 scratches. Kind of liking that. And then from there, I go to 320 and then 400. I got that, I heat treated that cravat couteau, and right now it's in the oven being tempered. I got about another hour and a half left on that. The reason I rub so hard on these rivets is to get the heavy sanding marks out of them. Yep, I don't mind this part at all. I really enjoy it. It's just fun watching something take shape beneath your hands. And if you don't like something about it, you can change it slowly into something you do like. Yeah, I'm liking that. Let me take it out, hold it in my hand. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to work on the ends here just a little bit. For some reason, it got a little ding right there. Let me rub that out. Check the other side. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to move up to 220. Let me find the 220. There's a 220. Yeah, the Army is where I learned how to drive an 18-wheeler. Well, I didn't drive an 18-wheeler, I drove a truck. And I fell in love with driving a truck. And I knew that was what I was going to do. When I got out, everything I did to work my way towards being a trucker. And I did that for 35 years. And when I first started driving a truck, I'd have done it for free. I loved it that much. But by the time I was done driving a truck, oh God, I hated people. I know that's hard to say, but you see people at their absolute worst when they get a steering wheel in their hand. And in a city, I mean, you see people at their least forgiving and most unflexible on the highway, especially in the cities. I have a lot of people say, what was the worst city to drive in? And honestly, they were all bad to drive in. But if I had to pick a city that was the most polite, even during rush hour, that would be Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Wisconsin state, the north central part of the United States. People seem to be a lot more polite and forgiving and patient. And I would say the two worst cities that I had to drive in would be Houston and Atlanta. And you know, I ran LA twice a week, and LA was a piece of cake compared to Atlanta and Houston. And Houston, people aren't just impatient, they're freaking mean. And you would just have people to go out of their way to to do mean things to you to prevent you from changing lanes or antagonize you. Yeah, people would go out of their way to antagonize somebody in an 18-wheeler. And Atlanta, people are just impatient, and you have a lot of stupid drivers in Atlanta, a lot. And then there's a lot of people that don't have insurance, and they drive like they don't have a care in the world. And, but as time goes by, I forget a lot of the bad, and I remember some of the sunrises and sunsets and mountains and some of the good, honest, salt of America kind of people that I've met. And most of my memories are good. Some of the bad memories are just really, really bad. I mean, I've seen people get shot and killed. I've been robbed a couple of times myself. And it's hard to get past the bad memories. Oh, this is turning up. I just love this bird's eye maple. Oh, and I found a place. This is just about all the bird's eye. I have enough bird's eye maple to do one more small handle. And my friend Dwayne, you know, he makes stuff. I think I've shown you before what he makes. And he makes some really cool stuff. And he uses a lot of exotic woods. And I asked him where I could get bird's eye maple. And he said, Dino's Hardwoods over in Shreveport. So I'm going to take a trip over there and buy some bird's eye maple. He also told me, and I didn't know this, that sometimes you can put a little bit of stain, a light stain on this bird's eye maple, and it'll just make the bird's eye pop right out. You put it on and wipe it right off, and it really makes the bird's eye part of it pop out. So I may try that. I got a little piece left. I may sand it down and put some stain on it and just see what it looks like with some stain on it. It's going to be a long video. I don't know if people actually spend their time watching them, which I don't blame you. Who has that kind of time? I mean, there's a lot of videos I fast forward through, and I would imagine y'all do too. But if you're here, the magic word is portly. I'm kidding. There's no magic word. Starting to get warm out here. I need to turn my fan on. Yep, I'm liking that a lot. All right, this is 220. Now I'm going to go to 320. Where is it? I don't think it's up here. I've got to get it out of this over here. There's 400. Here's 320. No, that's 220. What am I thinking? What happened? For some reason, a 220 got in with 320. Who did that? There we go. Yeah, I was attached to an MP company when I was in Germany. 95th MP Battalion, 66th MP Company. Third Platoon. My roommate, we were friends for a lot of years after we served in the Army together. His name was Mike. I won't say his last name, just out of respect. But we hung around after we got out of the Army. He grew his hair long, I grew my hair long. He got a motorcycle, I got a motorcycle. He stayed high for about a year. I stayed high for about a year. And then, you know, we grew up, started doing things to better our lives, and over the course of life, you know how life carries you in different directions, and you lose track of people. Well, I lost track of Mike, and I just Googled his name recently, just to see where he was. I knew he was in Texas, but I didn't know exactly where. And I Googled his name, and he passed away. I can't believe it. Just it's kind of a shock. Mike was a happy-go-lucky, fun-loving, joking that guy, and talented mechanic. Man, he could fix anything with an engine. And he smoked like a chimney, though. And I hope that's not what killed him, but it's kind of sad when you lost a lot of friends over the years. Just illness, accidents. You really feel your mortality when your friends start dying or getting sick. Boy, I'm liking that. And my wife, you know, my wife has had some illness. Scary to think that you might lose the one person that means everything to you. And it was close a couple of times. And then watching them suffer and try to live life in pain and fear. Life is very funny. Not funny, haha, but funny that when you're 20, you can't imagine the things life is going to bring you by the time you're 60. That one didn't last long. Lots of changes, lots of happiness, lots of unhappiness, lots of experiences that teach you, lots of things you just never seem to get right and learn from. And then there's regrets. Do you have any regrets? I got a couple. Whoop. All right. The final temper is done. I'm going to let it cool. Let me go over and open that door. One of my biggest regrets is that I didn't apply myself to something different besides trucking. I look back over my life and ask myself, what did I provide? What good did I bring into the world? How did I serve my fellow man? Now, that may sound corny to a lot of people, but when you get older and you do question what you've done with your life, if you did enough, those are the things that go through your head. I mean, the reason I joined the Army was because I was hungry and homeless, but once I got in the Army, I felt pretty good about being in the Army, like I was serving a purpose. And when serving a purpose became satisfying to me, I realized that That's what life is about. Filling a need. Even if you're just a widget maker in a widget factory, somebody somewhere needs those widgets, and it's up to you to get them there. I wish I had been, of all things, a nurse. I know that sounds weird, but I really do like helping people. And I think helping people when they're at their worst and desperate is, and being able to do it well and care for people, because I do care for people. I think I would have served my fellow man better in that capacity. Or somewhere in the medical field. I think I would have made a difference. I'll do the other side again. Just because I don't think I hit them pins hard enough. And then another regret is math. I am terrible at math. And not knowing math is a real handicap. I know basic math, but there's a lot of things that I like to do that math makes it a lot more difficult. Not knowing math. Algebra, angles, division. I wish I had, if nothing else, I hated school. Hated school. Hated school. I can't tell you how much I hated school. But, all right, we're going to 400 now. But I wish I had at least done better in math. Boy, I like them mosaic pins. I wish I could afford to put them on every knife. They look so much nicer. And then there's things that I'm glad I did, like moving to Louisiana. I absolutely love Louisiana. I love the people, I love the culture, I love the food, I love the climate, the terrain, the bayous. There's nothing I don't like. Even the mosquitoes. I put up with mosquitoes because I love it here so much. But I've also been other places, and I know if I had to leave Louisiana, there's one or two other places that I could live and be happy, and one of them is the Ozarks of Arkansas, northern Arkansas. My wife and I, we rode our motorcycles up there an awful lot, and it's just beautiful up there. Tell you what, I'm happy. Noise alert. Noise alert. we are ready for the True Oil. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to work on that cravat couteau. As a matter of fact, I'll see if it's cool enough to show you. Yep. This is what it looks like after it's been heat treated and tempered. It's kind of ugly, huh? Compared to what it did look like. What I do now is I put it into vise and I clean all this black crap off of it with 320 grit. And I'm probably going to bring it up to 400 grit. It's going to be satin finish, but I won't make you watch that. And that's what I'm going to do next. And then I'm going to epoxy, pin and epoxy the handles on this and leave it overnight. And then I'm going to go in and start putting the True Oil on that. Thanks for watching, y'all. If you did, if you're still here. I thought I had, this is a piece of bird's eye maple, and I sanded one side of it. And this is a stain called Espresso. And I'm gonna try, it's dark stain, I don't have any light stain. I thought I did. So let's just try this. And then we wipey. Yeah, I don't like that. If I had a lighter stain, maybe. It does make the eyes pop out, but maybe if I had a light stain, like a very, very light oak. Yeah, I have enough dark wood where I don't need to do that, but I will try some dark stain. But that I don't, I mean some light, I will try some light stain, but this I do not like. Alright, I got the handles pinned and epoxied. And that I will leave there till tomorrow morning. I can't wait to start working on that. And this, fix to take in and put the first coat of True Oil on it, and maybe the second one late tonight.